Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Talking Movies. My name is Josh.
I'm Randy with the Punk Rock Review.
I'm Clay with Clay.
Let's go.
Yep, and I'm just Chris.
Just Chris. Anyways.
That needs to be the intro every time.
I can feel it coming.
I'm in the air tonight.
We're all in
Right.
a romantic mood because we're, talking about such a romantic movie, I guess.
Man, hold up. Was this the date movie of the year?
But yeah, we're capping off the relationship series today with Sid and Nancy from what year was this? I forgot to look. 86, I think. Yeah, that's right. All right. So this is
just a jovial light movie.
Absolutely. Just gonna bring the whole family.
Yeah, fun and silly nonsense.
Yeah. So, Chris, do you want to explain what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's not much to the plot of the movie, but it is a biopic of Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. Infamously meeting his girlfriend, and I mean, basically spiraling both of their lives out of control. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. It's a
downward spiral that they're already in the spiral at the beginning of the movie, and
yeah, just two just crazy people just happened to find like the perfectly wrong match for one another.
Oh, for sure.
Match made in hell.
Yeah. So it's a lot of arguments and drugs and arguments and drugs.
I think that they played up on the Sid being the romantic type a little much because he was a known prick. So, and I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but
I mean, he didn't seem like a romantic guy to me in the movie. He seemed like a prick to me. He slapped her.
Oh, really? He was all about. They made him seem way more kind and gentle because every time he did something, he would like counteract that with like this I don't know. He had this like underlying like romantic idea about him that I don't think was real. He was just a grungy prick, man. And Nancy Spungen was a fucking psychopath, man. They were a match made in hell for sure, dude. Like how that happened, that's the universe being like, we don't need either of these two people. Like, get them together and let's get rid of this.
Right.
Because that was a hard movie to watch, man.
It's an implosion. Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seemed like they just squeezed out. Like they like you said, the universe just didn't want them. They were so alienated and nobody could relate to them that they just, I don't know. They were like, well, let's just die now.
Well, dude, it was so okay. So the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious was like a pawn. He wasn't a musician. He didn't know how to play his music very well.
Right.
He was just like a punk rock dude. And so they took him and put him in the band, right? And then he became friends with Johnny Rotten for a little while. They became not friends pretty quickly. Nancy Spungen was just like Yoko Ono-esque, but like like even more outrageous, more toxic, and then you add narcotics into that, and that's a recipe for disaster, man. And she was the catalyst to all their trouble, man. I think he would have just flamed out in the music world, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
But she just insisted on dragging him down, and that woman did a great job. Again, as far as I know, what I do know about her, that woman, it was exactly how she acted. So.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Somebody will let me know in the comments, I'm sure. But that was a very accurate. Well, I tell you, Gary Oldman was basically Sid Vicious in this movie. It was fucking crazy.
Gary Oldman was fantastic.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
and I don't remember the actress's name, Chloe something, I think. I mean, they definitely, I think, made her out to be like really the gasoline on the fire that. If kind of she didn't, I know what Randy's kind of saying about Sid being a little more romantic, that if she wasn't around, he might have gotten clean. He might have, I don't know how true that actually is to the real story, but they definitely played her up to be kind of, at least to me, just because she was so like gratingly annoying.
Yeah.
they kind of made her out to be the bad guy a little bit.
Well, I mean, to my knowledge, that is accurate, and to my knowledge, again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But as far as I understand it, he wasn't really into that stuff before she came along.
Yeah,
that part of the movie is pretty accurate as far as I understand it. And he was like heavy drinker, kind of violent, kind of sporadic. So whenever she offered it, of course he was gonna be like, "Sure, I'll do that." I mean, it was kind of weird how it happened. He was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll get high with you." And that's an insane thing to tell somebody. Like, you don't know this person. Like, it's just such a crazy. Like, you couldn't do that now. You would definitely get the wrong stuff and kill yourself by accident. It would be just a hot mess. But like, she was the gasoline that poured on the fire. She was the catalyst to their demise. She was the reason that all that shit happened, as far as I know.
Yeah,
I've read a couple of books that had stories about them. It wasn't like books about them, and I've never read anything that said anything other than that. It was all she was in there, and he fell in love with her, and that's not her fault necessarily. It's just what happened, but she was definitely unhinged.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird codependent relationship,
bro. Dude, for real.
Yeah, I did a little
like some great stuff though. I mean, the movie did. I mean, there's some iconic scenes, iconic quotes. The "never trust a junkie" quote has been sampled a ton. I think Misery used it, or Ministry used it. Al Jurgensen or whatever. I don't know if y'all ever got into Ministry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I mean,
Al Jurgensen.
Yeah, there were some great scenes, like when the kids are smashing the cars. It's just a weird thing. They're like coming out of the apartments, and the kids are hitting all the cars with hockey sticks and stuff. I always thought that was a crazy scene. And then like when they're kissing by the dumpsters at the end, like that's pretty iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some weird shit in this movie.
Roger Deakins shot this movie. It's like one of his first movies. And it looks amazing.
Yeah, they had some really, especially the end shots of him like walking across the rail line and the Twin Towers in the background, and just
that shot is so crazy. Yeah. And just
I
really don't see it.
Movies. I just don't like I was just like, all right, cool. Because I was looking at like
just turn on the Criterion menu, and it shows like all of the like amazing shots.
Oh man, I
just don't look at it the same way. It just makes me laugh at this point. I'm just like, whatever, man. I'm just a idiot. Like
when they get off the boat and everybody's throwing down with the cops, and they're just walking through the crowd. Like,
that didn't happen like that. That I know didn't happen like that. They all got arrested.
Scene. Yeah.
It definitely seemed like it was a little overly like played up.
Well, they definitely did the boat thing. So they were having like the Queen was having some kind of a ceremony of some kind on her property, and they went and got a boat and then went and premiered the song "God Save the Queen," playing it very loud, passing them by. And as soon as they pulled up, cops were like, "Nah, bro, that's because back then that shit was not flying, dude." They all went to jail for that. Now they weren't in there for a long time, but whenever that boat shows up and you hear the song start playing, I literally was like, "Let's go!" Because like that's the kind of shit that I like, Because like, look, dude, overall, as the Sex Pistols, like they're a little corny, and John Lydon's kind of a douche. But that album, though, man, that album is pretty perfect. Man. That's a great punk rock record. So, and they did a lot of stuff back then that was. I mean, the punk rock bands are still mimicking what the Sex Pistols did. So the importance of that band is not to be understated. Anyways, that's a different subject.
Yeah, I've heard Johnny Rotten's a really big douchebag.
Dude,
too, so.
He's like a Republican now. He's a tool, bro.
I saw an interview with he and Henry Rollins and like one of the Ramon guys.
Oh,
like
that's very famous.
Yeah. And Johnny Rotten is just he will not shut up the whole time. I'm just like, God, this guy sucks.
Yeah.
Like he just does. And that's how he was in the movie, kind of. Like he was just kind of whiny.
Yeah, I saw something like he hated the portrayal of him in the movie. I was like, well, it's probably because it's realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have a lot in common with that. It is what it is. I can't shut up often, but his opinions are so wild. Like, I just like to jibber jabber all the time, bro. That guy is constantly trying to be an edgelord, and I'm like, bro, you're like 70. Stop it. Like, just calm down. But yeah, if the movie was about him, it probably would have been a lot different, I think. Like, well, of course it would have been, but like, he wasn't a big part of the movie, and I thought that they sprinkled him in just enough. I thought that was good, is what I'm trying to say. The amount of screen time he got and like him being in it made a lot of sense to me. But there was a few things that they didn't really talk about much that I was kind of surprised of. But it was really a story about those two people, so I guess not. If they ever make a movie about the Sex Pistols, I would love to watch it and see what they come up with, because I know quite a bit about that story, and it's they're like the first boy band, dude. They were like put together by it's interesting, man. Their history is interesting. They were still very rebellious. They were very, very much a punk band, but this movie was rough, bro.
Yeah, there was enough. There was enough like behind the scenes, like managers and whatnot, pulling the strings, do this, do that.
Yeah,
trying to get him to stop. Trying to keep Nancy from going to America on the America tour.
Well, they were like getting him to stay on dope, man. They were like, dude, remember that guy? His manager was like, dude, he's a train wreck, and he was like, they were like egging him on. They wanted him to be this larger than life character. They wanted him to stay, because they don't care about him, dude. They just care about dollars, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, well, this guy's gonna flame out and die anyways. Let's make it as spectacular as we can. And so, I feel like he was kind of used and abused, and he was a bad dude anyways, man. He was a scumbag type of guy. I mean, he definitely hit people with his bass. He spit on people. Like, he did stuff that like it was very Gigi Allen-esque, before that guy existed. So, I don't know, man. This movie was wild, bro. It was a lot of very accurate portrayals of stuff that I was like really forgot. Kind of hadn't seen the movie in a long time, dude. So I was watching it like, oh.
Did you pick up on any of the cameos in there? I mean, Courtney Love is all up in there, and
I thought that was who that was, but I wasn't sure. She played the blonde girl sitting at them with the table, right?
Yeah,
the other blonde,
yeah, the other blonde. I thought that's who it was, but I wasn't sure. I was like, man, they should have just had her played Nancy.
Yeah, I think I saw like a few reviews saying that too. That, I mean, I think people don't love the actresses,
Chloe Webb.
Portrayal, yeah. Which I didn't particularly love it either.
Well, she's obnoxious in real life, though.
Yeah,
so of course she didn't.
Blabbering.
I was gonna say, like,
yeah,
she was going for it. So I can't hate on her too much.
She always talked like this, man. And I was just like,
about the farewell drugs, man. Yeah, it was just
on the Criterion. There's a bunch of like old Sex Pistols and Sid and Nancy interviews and stuff. So I was flipping through them before we started, and I was like, oh yeah, she sounds exactly like that.
Yeah.
really,
just like super whiny.
No,
yeah,
that was an incredibly accurate portrayal. Like that's what people don't like about it, is they don't like Nancy Spungen. She was a garbage human being.
Yeah,
but like, I remember she's like, Sid, you told me you'd do it too, and she's like, I don't feel good. I was like, man, thank God. Like,
I changed my mind. You can't change your mind.
Everything's so high pitch. Yeah,
dude. And he's like, yeah, but we haven't even started this yet. I changed my mind before we got into the action part. And she's like, you hold this, and then I'm gonna run into it. And he's like, but I don't want. Okay, like, dude, that whole scene, that was a tough watch, man. She was rolling around that bed and she was covered in blood, and I was like, how scary would that be? Like, you did this to yourself, but when you're doing it, like, post entry wound, you're like, oh, this probably was a terrible idea, because this is gonna hurt and it's gonna take a while. Like, that was really scary for me. Like, I was watching that, like, man, I could have been in that position myself, man. I was really, really, all the stuff they were dealing with, like, mentally in that movie, with all the like trying to get clean and fit. Like, when she comes back in the room and she's like, you swore you wouldn't do that until after the gigs or whatever. And then she goes, and then you didn't save any for me. Dude, that was dude, that I have been that person. Man, you said you were going to stop doing this, and then you didn't even save none, bro. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. So that movie, there was a lot of parts where I was like shaking and rubbing my legs real hard, like uncomfortable. Lots of it, dude. It was lots of uncomfortable.
Lot of like I lost my money kind of fantasies with junkies. Like, I know I had this pile of cash somewhere. I know it's here, and you just can't find your money. Like, dude, you spent that shit.
Yeah,
bro.
I never got to that point because I already knew I had a problem. So I was like, nope, you just blew all your money. But I definitely made the phone calls like, hey, I don't need like, clothes, but I'll take $12. Like, no, bro. I'm not gonna give you $12, you scumbag junkie.
Yeah, like when she tries to call her mom.
That's exactly what I was
saying. You're just gonna spend it on drugs. It's like we are.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the stuff that I didn't think that he was really behaving like, but it was also the best part of his character in the movie was that nonchalant, like honesty.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that he wasn't like that, but I get the feeling that that's the stuff that was like sensationalized and made up for the script. I thought it was really good though, as sad as it is, and as much of a bummer as this movie is.
Yeah.
And I may not have noticed the cinematography is like you guys did, but like the acting, and I hated her in this movie, but I loved it because it was so real, man. Like I was watching this, like, damn, I forgot all this stuff. Like I forgot how grating she was. And I mean, I didn't know her personally, obviously, but like I've been knowing about this stuff for a long time. I watched this movie a long time ago. And so I knew who she was. Strange, dude. What a fucking movie, man. My goodness.
This is like a movie for me. When I was a kid, I had like, VHS, right? So
hell yeah.
There's like the 30-minute club, right? There's the Doors. You can watch the first 30, 45 minutes of, and it's a whole party, right? This movie is the same way. You watch the first 30, 45 minutes of it, you just turn it off because the rest is all downhill. But the first 30 minutes are fucking awesome, And Clockwork Orange is kind of the same way to me, where it's just like, wow, just this crazy gangbanger party, and then, oh shit, he gets arrested. Second half of the movie, we don't want to watch it. So that's what this movie is to me. It's like, I had it on VHS. I would, fire one up or, crack open some Mickeys, put some Sid Vicious on, watch the first 30 minutes, and then turn the shit off.
Dude, the part where they're at the club and he's doing his solo act, like I could feel Carissa looking at me because I was singing like all the words, and I was like, man, I can't believe I know this music. Like, I don't know how much I've listened to that stuff, but I guess it was more than I realized. But his solo shit was absolute garbage. But
I watched the video. I watched YouTube while I was watching the movie. I was like, oh my god, that's bad. Like, it's terrible.
Dude. His solo stuff was, I don't know why it even, like, whoever said that was a good idea. I mean, it was Nancy. Like, dude, that guy, he might have had a chance without her in his life, but she was not going to let that happen, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely seemed that way. I've read a couple things too, like she was trying to even like get in on the band and stuff, and she would try to sing backup for some later solo shows, and they would just unplug her mic, so they knew she was bad, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
Dude, she was definitely. She was very Yoko Ono, man. Like straight up, bro. That chick was like, dude, bro. Her voice is so bad. I cannot imagine having a record with her on it and being like, "This is pretty good, bro." Nah, dude, man. Poke my ears out with some ice picks or something, dude. No,
I can't imagine. Yeah, so I'd never seen this before. I knew who Sid Vicious was and stuff, but I didn't really know the story. I mean, I guess it's not too hard to figure out where it's gonna go.
Right. The first scene will tell you a lot.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of know where it's gonna go, but I don't know. It's really good. I can't say that I enjoyed it.
It is one of those movies.
It's a good movie. It's kind of like the end of Goodfellas, but for 2 hours. Like when they're all on cocaine and screaming at each other.
Dude, it really kind of is, bro. Driving, looking up the windshield.
Yeah, it's like the most manic part of Goodfellas.
Yeah, dude, that's the only thing like bad I guess I could really say. Was just it got kind of old after a while.
It's a little repetitive.
Like it just the fighting and drugs, and I mean, and it's realistic. It's they don't want to cut everything out of the movie.
Yeah,
but it got a little old. I was like, okay. I mean, I knew where it was going, so I was like, okay, let's kind of get to the.
It got a little old, but I guess since it's a real story, I don't know, man. It did get a little old, but like every little, like I can't think of what they would take out to improve it, because if you take it out, it's like an important part of something he was doing, or like it's like a part that connects two dots or something, because it is kind of necessary. But it gets a little much. I mean, maybe they could have just taken out some physical arguing or something. Might have been nice, but
maybe. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like
in terms of representing what I believe the punk scene may have looked like in the 80s in Britain, I think it's valuable to that regard, because you get like a feel for like the clothes and the vibe and the people. But beyond that, like when I get into the story of Sid Vicious's life, I'm kind of like,
is he that interesting of a person?
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like a portrait of a person that no one really likes, you know.
Except that he was like the first, of his kind. Like he was like that's what makes it relevant, is that he was the first guy
like
that was on a stage that didn't play his instrument well, didn't care. He was like he was really that guy. They didn't portray him very well, but he was that guy. And you know, and so there is some relevance historically to like what he means to music, and his life was interesting because he went out in like this weird. It was like he was like the original Cobain, dude. Like he went out in like a way people were like, what happened? He just, and it's like, yeah, you didn't know he was doing all that crap, because a lot of people like, dude, think about it. Your average human, average American, average UK fellow, Brit, average Brit. God, I can't even talk tonight. They don't have any experience with that kind of lifestyle. So they see these train wrecks and they're just like, oh, he's just drinking a lot. And you're like, oh, no, no. Like when they asked him about his arm and he's like, oh, banged into stuff. They're like, oh, okay. Like, I feel like that's something that people would be like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah. Well, the world was a lot more disconnected back then, too. I mean, there's no internet, there's an ocean away. Like, you weren't getting up-to-date news and up to the minute updates on gossip going on. And
there was no TMZ.
And England's even more uptight than America was, So I mean, like, I feel like that's, all that stuff is just magnified to the nth degree when you're doing it over there.
I mean, here's the thing, dude. At least in my opinion, based on what Hugh was saying, and I do have to agree a little bit. There is like a lot of uninteresting things about the guy, but I think if it wouldn't have been that dude at that time with that woman, there wouldn't have been a reason to talk about him, even with the band, because she's really the linchpin to all that craziness was her. So the movie could have, you even notice at the end of the movie, it says R.I.P. Nancy and Sid, not Sid and Nancy. Dude, she was the reason. She was the reason, but she's also part of the reason that he got some of the stuff he got, man. She was just a chaotic time bomb. She was just a ticking time bomb. And I mean,
they're both just volatile people.
Yes, yeah. Oh, she was bouncing around trying to get with any dude that would get with her, and like she just wanted to be attached to some famous guy. She was a groupie that had like more drive than your average groupie or whatever, right?
Yeah, that was finally found one that
that was going to be my question. Actually, I was thinking about it earlier today. Like, how do I talk about this? And I'm like, is this actually a love story, or is it just a couple of leeches that just kind of attached themselves to each other?
Depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, you could say that.
Right. So kind of, there's moments of it, and I think that it is dramatized in that way, definitely in certain spots, like you pointed out. But it definitely does feel like they're just feeding off of it, or just kind of using each other,
So that's because of their addicts, dude. I mean, I know hundreds of people that are in relationships that are exactly like that. The only reason they're with each other is because they're both addicts and they both can't get clean. As soon as one of them got clean, they would bounce, because as soon as you get clean, you realize what a just disgusting life you're living. And I mean,
you have to distance yourself from the addiction too. Or
else bro,
go back. Yeah.
Whenever I got clean, the first thing I did was move. I was like, well, I can't be around it. I got rid of my phone numbers. I got rid of all my contacts. And I got rid of phone numbers from people that I still care about. I just don't talk to them. I can't be around them. I just, even now, wouldn't want to, because I'm afraid of them not being in the right place, of what I would feel. I would be like grossed out by it probably. Like I had to just, I mean, this is how I met you guys, was moving on in my life, man. I mean, this was never supposed to happen. I was never supposed to have these 3 friends. Like, it's crazy that I'm in this position right now. So, yeah, man, you have to just bounce, bro. And it's got to be like immediate. You can't be like, I think maybe I'll stop talking to Joe over here this time, and then in a few weeks I'll cut this guy out. No, bro. Joe knows other people, man.
Yeah, it's all or nothing. Like,
it has to be.
God, well, that's why Nancy died, because Sid was like, enough. I'm stabbing you now.
Well, no, he didn't stab her on purpose.
Joking.
Oh,
that was his way of like he was trying to deliberately say, like, I'm done with the smack. I want to get off. And she was like, you say that every day, and that's how it is. Like, you try to quit and you can't.
Yeah.
You just. But anyway, I think that was like, as much as he loved her desperately and didn't want her to die, things happen. He was holding a knife when she ran into it. He could have dropped it immediately. Instead, he was like, maybe I do want this. Like, maybe
no, she like put it in his hand and then I mean, it was so quick. And I think,
and they're all strung out too. So,
dude, that's exactly what I was fixing to say, bro.
I don't think neither one of them really knew what happened. No. Right?
Okay, again, to my knowledge, that's pretty accurate. Like, it was like a kind of a he was arrested for it, but it was like that was what the news was. It's like, oh, is this even on purpose? And it's like, doesn't matter. Manslaughter still exists. Like, you still wind up with a dead person in your room. And
honestly, when they showed it, it was so chaotic. I didn't really get what happened for a second.
I only knew because I already knew because I knew the story. But like, I was like, oh no. And then they started laying in bed, and I thought he was going to wake up and she was going to be like on top of him, deceased. But I was like, man, she didn't die in the bed. I knew that. I knew she died in a bathroom floor, like in the hallway. I knew that because I saw some gnarly ass photos that I didn't want to see. But yeah, man, what a crazy, like, I just don't even know. Okay, look, dude, I don't really doubt that he loved her. Now, was he in love with her? I don't know. But did he love her? I think he did to a certain degree, because especially when you're in that life, you develop these attachments, and that turns into love very quick.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine waking up and realizing that that's what happened. Oh my God, I did that? Oh yeah, like my life is over with now. Like, whew. He was just sitting there staring at the TV. Just,
it definitely seemed like he was relieved a little bit. I don't know if I was just reading too much into it, but it definitely seemed like he kind of like had a little bit of weight off his shoulders.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he didn't live very long.
Said 2 months, right?
He OD'd not too long after this.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I think he fell into a depression and overdosed because he was just too high. Like, he was, I mean, obviously, right? But like, you know what I mean? Like, he was just, he couldn't get his brain off of that. And it was just like all right, I'm going to do this. Like, kind of knowing, not knowing, I'm going to do this. I'm going to see if I can make it out. But you're not going to, I don't know. I could be.
You keep pushing it and pushing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. And I was like, maybe it was Nancy, even though they were, feeding off of each other. They were both like keeping each other alive in a way.
Yeah.
Didn't have her anymore. He had nothing, nothing else to live for, really.
Dude, can you imagine though? You wake up and you're like, oh man, this woman's gone. And you're like, wait a minute. I lost this band. I lost this and this. It's all this stuff you could have had. But this person came into your life and just, and part of it's on you. You like let this person just change your trajectory. You went from going this way to going this way now. And I can't imagine the realization of that and like the weight of that, what it would do to me mentally. I don't know that I'd make it out of that either.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely wasn't like relief to the point where he lives and there's a happy ending for him.
Yeah. It's right. He goes to jail, gets clean, gets out because he's only did a 10-year because of it being a manslaughter charge, and then he gets out and now he's doing music. No. He went out, got out on bonded out, went out and killed himself by accident. Like,
yeah.
Dude, what if, okay, this is such a downer conversation, but what about the part when they're sitting in there, I guess they're like her aunt's house, and they're like, hey, where do you want us to sleep? And she's like, oh no, you're not sleeping here. I was like, oh, been there. I have been there.
I was going to mention that.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes, actually. Like, because it just kind of sticks out.
Yeah. He was like, why do you think they threw us out? And she was like, because they know me. Bro, they really do.
I have been in that position, and I'm not proud of it, but it does make for pretty funny stories, dude. I mean, shit, dude. Like, I don't know if I've ever talked about this like in front of people. I know you guys probably know about this, but maybe you don't. When I was trying to get clean, my brother was living in Huntsville, and my sister and him had like 2 houses next door to each other. So like you could just walk back and forth, and they lived in this little tiny neighborhood. It was very, very small. And I needed to get away. Like I needed to get away from everybody I knew. And I called up my brother and sister and was like, hey, can I come and stay at your place? I'll pay some bills and I need to get away from this shit. And the only way I can clean up is getting out of the place where I'm familiar. And dude, my brother told my sister, I don't want him coming here because he's gonna steal all my shit. And like, oh well, so okay, first and foremost, I wouldn't have stolen all of his stuff. I was never really that guy. But that's how much of a problem that I had. That's what he thought. But I told him, I called him, and I was like, bro, if I was gonna steal all your shit, I'd do it right in front of you. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Like, if I was gonna steal all your crap, I'd come steal your crap. Like, I'm not concerned about you stopping me because you can't. And it was this, and like years later, me and him were talking, and I was like, man, I can't believe you said that shit to me. And he was like, said what? And I told him, and he was like, oh man, I didn't say that. And I was like, hold up. Called up Mandy. He was like, did this happen? She's like, yeah, it happened. I'm like, yeah, dude. Like, don't. He blocked it out of his memory, bro. He's had this like guilt for like 15 years. I'm like, bro, don't feel bad about it. I was a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've been in that position, bro. It sucks, bro.
Yeah, it's not the most like unrealistic conclusion to jump to.
No.
Right.
Except that
definitely like,
you know, it's a every person scenario, like a case by case thing. So like, I was never that kind of guy. Like I wasn't gonna steal all this stuff because I just it just never was my, that was never my style. Like I just didn't do that. But it was just such a crazy realization that somebody could even think that about me. It was ultimately it hurt, but it was also embarrassing. I was like, holy crap! Like that's really what this fool thinks. Like, man, like that's a smack in the face with reality.
Yeah.
Hurts,
Maybe a little necessary too. If you're a rational person, if there's still a brain firing, and not necessarily just you, but just in general, make you realize some things and hopefully think twice about some stuff.
Dude, the houses I've lived in, bro. Like I took my mom to lunch today, and I asked her, I didn't ask her. I told her, I said, I don't even know how I lived in that house in the Heights. And my mom literally was like eating lunch, and she just like stopped, slammed her fork down. She goes, every single minute you were in that house, I was so worried. And I was just like, damn, really? And she's like, I guess you didn't understand where you were at. I was like, no, I don't think my mom understood who I was. I don't think she understood that that's where I was supposed to be. Like I fit in with those people. She just doesn't want to admit it. But I lived in some, man.
Well, to that note, like when they're crashing, they play the show and then they crash and they're all sleeping together in a big pile.
Oh, that's
like,
not
dudes
that's not weird at all.
Sex with his girl. They're next to farting and burping. Like there was a house in a band that we used to follow in Little Rock, and everybody would crash like that. It was just like everybody had the same fleas and crabs and itch and everything. Like they all just. It just all went through that whole crowd every time. Man. I never got to I'd stayed there maybe once or twice, but man, that was enough for me.
Yeah.
So
like you just got so messed up, you just fell asleep there,
That was the most realistic scene in the movie from my experiences because I've been in that position because it looked grimier than it really was, man. Most of the time, it was just bands didn't have anywhere to sleep, so you'd have just tons of people everywhere. But I've definitely seen like people making out, people banging it out, like in the middle of the living room. You're like, "Yo, could you not at least go to the bathroom and do that?" And they're just like, "Oh, I didn't realize anybody's awake." I'm like, "I'm up talking to somebody. What do you mean? I'm smoking a cigarette. You didn't think I was awake?" Jeez. But that movie has like a lot of tiny little blips of like kind of like comedy. But it's overall really, really, it's a downer, man. Like,
yeah, it was good. Yeah, I don't like Josh said. I don't know if I'm struggling with what to rate it even because like I liked it, I appreciate it. Like I knew the story a little bit going into it too, so I kind of saw some of the things coming.
Right.
But, it's not a fun watch. So it's kind of a weird one to nailed down a rating on.
What's a common occurrence on this podcast? We watch movies that were like, I don't know if I'd ever want to watch that again, but it was quality.
Yeah. Irreversible.
That is exactly what I was thinking of, dude.
Yeah.
Good movie, not a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as bad as that, but still
no.
similar nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah, good movie. It's Alex Cox who did Repo Man before this, which is a really punk weird movie. I was kind of expecting more, I don't know, surreal stuff.
This one was straightforward.
It's much more straightforward than I was expecting, honestly. Because I've seen there's a few moments like when he sings "My Way."
Yeah.
On the stage, that was one of my favorite scenes. Actually, I really thought that was. I thought that was really cool.
I was like, "What is going on?" And like, okay,
so weird. But it just, I love that. I was kind of expecting more like weird flourishes like that because I've seen Alex Cox movies, so I just know that he's a weirdo. He likes to do that stuff, and
the ending, of course.
Yeah, and the endings with the cab and stuff. Yeah,
the pizza shop in the middle of like junkyard or where, and the kids singing and the cab pulling up with her in it.
Yeah, it has a few of those weird flourishes in it, but I was expecting a lot more. Maybe get more into his like drug state or something. But you don't really get as much of that as I was expecting.
What'd y'all think about the ending? How'd y'all take that?
I just took it as he died. Like that was him ODing.
Yeah.
I mean, not that he just went straight out of jail and got some pizza and then OD'd, but I mean, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, him dying, seeing her again, and
yeah, I'm kind of I like it stylistically, but it the message behind it feels a little strange. Like it sort of romanticizes the whole, like it almost puts a bow on this whole story that's been such a nasty downward spiral. And it's like, oh, but it's beautiful. Like, and I sort of didn't like that. And actually, I listened to there's a little interview with the director on the disc too, and he was sort of like, yeah, I kind of think that the ending was a mistake. I don't know if I would do that now.
Dude, I'm so glad you pointed that out. That is exactly how I felt about it.
Yeah.
It irritated me because I was like, man, you can't be like, it's okay to do this. That's what they're doing. Is they're like, it's okay to live like this because it'll end up okay.
Right. I almost like if they had done that and then cut to him like ODing or something.
Dude, like spazzing out on the floor.
Yeah. Like it could have been like a 5-second scene or something. Just like a snap back to reality for just a second to make you say, oh,
heck yeah.
I think that would have been the perfect way to end it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But dude, back when this movie was made, they couldn't do that. They weren't making movies like that back then.
I didn't really even think anything of it until you mentioned it, actually. I like all that stupid romantic shit, though. I'm like, yeah, maybe they could have had a shot if they both were clean and sober.
Yeah, I like it too, but it's an biopic.
I didn't think
idealistic.
I didn't think that. I didn't think they were romanticizing at all. I just thought like they
sure looked like it.
That was them. Like that was nothing changed in his mind. Like he OD'd and died, depressed probably, and like none of the events in the movie, nothing that happened would have actually changed anything. It was almost I don't know the right word to describe it. Like maybe kind of satirical or I don't know the right word I'm looking for, I guess, but I definitely didn't take it. It was trying to like pull out a happy ending. I took it a little darker and was like
more tongue in cheek or something.
No, dude, absolutely. They were definitely just letting you watch it was playing out through these rose-colored glasses of like, it's okay. Like the end of the movie isn't on a downer because at the end of the movie he gets to see her again in the next life, right? That's what they're saying. it's not that he died. That's not the end of the movie. The end of the movie is that he dies and then goes back with her. That's not real. They were definitely making it romanticized. They were definitely making it easier to stomach, and it was more palatable to like your average moviegoer.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was dark at all.
Could have been like indicative of his psychosis or something. I mean,
dude, it was like a super tone change for me at the end.
Yeah, it really was. I thought so.
It was a little weird, but yeah, I definitely took it darker than you guys, I think.
I can kind of see what you mean, but I don't know. I sort of feel like that was the intention.
Well, no, you said it. You saw it right when you saw it. I mean, that's what. And I'm not saying that Chris is necessarily wrong. It's just like at the end of what he's saying, there's also like this little bit of bloop at the end of that. Yeah, it's him dying. It's pretty dark, but then there's like also the very last thing is him leaving with her in this cab. Like,
yeah, okay,
so if you act like this and live like this, ultimately there's really no consequence because at the end of the day, you're still going to end up with the person you love. And it's like, no. You're ultimately going to die of an overdose. And we haven't died, so we don't really know what's going to happen. I have my beliefs. Somebody else might have their own beliefs. That's not the situation we want to happen. Nobody wants to just OD and die, right? Well, maybe, but
yeah, I'm kind of conflicted on it, but I definitely agree. I agree.
Yeah, I do think a little snap back to reality would have like taken that little weird thing off of it and
kind of just polishes the rough edge off of it a little too much.
Yeah, and it would have been a little more like what I'm trying to describe. But
I think if they had done a snapback, it would have absolutely been what you're describing. Yeah. I think that would have made the ending, I think, far more gritty, real, honest, all of it. I think it would have been a better ending that way. Well, whatever, man. But the ending definitely bummed me the hell out, though. I was definitely like, ugh. But
yeah, it definitely does make you feel good at the end of the movie.
I took a shower after watching that fucking movie.
Yeah. How did Carissa feel about it?
I don't know because she didn't say much. I tend to think that means she didn't
have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I mean, I know she enjoyed the story because for her, when she was watching it, she was also at the same time watching me like sing the songs and like be kind of into a lot of parts. But the last act of the movie is where I kind of just got really quiet and was like, and I think that's where her mood changed too. And a lot of it was dependent upon me and how I was feeling, I think.
Yeah.
Because, something like this, she's in it because I'm in it. And she's watching it because I watched it. So I don't think she would have picked to watch this movie on her own. So, but, I know she could feel me squirming when it was doing like the drug stuff. I was squirming bad, bro. There's a bunch of parts of this movie where I was I don't know, man. I thought I could handle watching this stuff better than I can, I guess. I every time I see it, I get like, it's jarring. And I don't know, man. I'm so happy these days. Like I may be grumpy sometimes, but I'm generally like really fucking happy, dude. Like I don't have nothing to complain about. I work hard, so I'm having some nice things happen to me. And so I can't even imagine that that's what I used to be like. And it is. I used to be like them. The fact that I'm here now is pretty crazy to me even. Like I used to be those people. So watching this stuff is really, it's bittersweet, man. Like I still, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely watch it from a different perspective than the rest of us. I mean, maybe even you a little bit too, Clay. I know
I thought about you a couple times watching this, actually, Randy. I was like, man, I wonder what Randy's going through thinking about this shit. I mean, it
was tough.
Whenever I watch movies about alcoholism and stuff like that, Leaving Las Vegas is one of my favorite movies, but there's times when I'm just like, damn, I can smell that liquor. Like I just, wow,
dude,
man,
I've seen movies where I could smell when they were cooking, dude. I was like, man,
it's like,
yeah, it's, I know, that feeling, bro, for sure. I don't know. But again, man, it's kind of like
I don't think alcohol's alcohol is yes, it's addictive, obviously, but I don't think it's nearly as addictive as smack.
I don't think so either. Yeah. But I do think you have the same disease whether you wanted to do one or the other, and I think that's the real issue is that. But
yeah,
I think that occasionally I need to watch something like this. I need to remember
Right.
Like, don't get near that shit again, because I don't know. I've never been like embarrassed by it or ashamed of myself, because you can't. Everybody's done shit they're ashamed of, all of us, you know. And so I don't look at it like that, but it makes me feel weird, man. Like, I don't know. There's a bunch of movies that I like, and I'm like, I can't really watch this. I don't watch Leaving Las Vegas a lot, because I'm not trying to watch that shit, because it's the same thing, different medium. Like, you know.
Yeah, right. He does. Surprise.
Right? But yeah, dude. Life is strange, man. But without that kind of shit, like, I wouldn't be doing the amazing shit that I'm doing now. Like, I may not be doing something that's amazing to some of the people watching this, but if you look at where I was when I was 16, if you'd have told me, hey, man, you just wait. In 25 years, bro, you're going to be doing this and this and this, I would have laughed in your fucking face and been like, dude, I'm not going to be alive in 25 years. What are you talking about, bro? And I didn't intend on it. When I got asked what I wanted to be when I was 40 by a teacher, and I laughed in her face. I was like, 40? I'm not going to hit 40. Now I'm like, please let me get to 60. Like, you know, and so without all that tragic stuff that I was doing, I wouldn't have all the cool shit to lean on now. But at what cost did it come to me? You know, I don't really know yet. I won't know till I'm gone, I guess. Probably.
I mean, it probably makes you appreciate life a lot more, though.
Hell yeah, 24 hours is not enough for one day, man. Like, every day I wake up thinking, like, dude, I got more shit to do than I got time to do it. That's why I'm constantly just doing. People like you said, man, you need to learn how to take a day off. Fuck that. I don't want to take a day off. Like, I don't want to. Like, I like although if I was like a plumber, I would be taking some days off. But I do the shit that I like to do. And so, you know, I'm feeling really, really lucky. But look at what it landed me, dude. I got to put out a bullshit detector tape, right? And it may not mean something to very many people, but to me that's amazing, because I really, really like that band. And now I'm talking to Chris about doing this thing with him, and like, I mean, this is like my favorite band, dude. Like, one of my top bands of all time, and I'm fixing to work with this guy. And that's fucking crazy to me, man. So, you know, it takes weird, like, you know, sometimes you take a weird pathway to get where you're going. Sometimes it makes you get dirty, sometimes it doesn't. But these movies are fucking depressing. So
yeah,
indeed. Good pick though, Chris. I'm glad we watched it. A good discussion.
Yeah.
And next week we're watching Requiem for a Dream.
Oh my god! Now starts Randy's gone.
Yeah,
I would skip that one.
Yeah, I figured you would.
I mean, my next pick is not a whole lot cheerier though.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude.
Yeah, you already told me.
I'm feeling the anxiety a little bit.
I think I said it in front of everybody. They all know what I'm picking next time.
I don't remember. So
kids, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Who has not seen it? Was it you, Josh? You've not seen it?
I have not seen it.
That might have been why I had, dude. Oh wow, yeah, dude. We have to watch that. That's a fun one.
Yay. All right, so that's in 2 weeks. So what are we watching next week, Clay?
So this movie that we just watched, Sid and Nancy, was in a stack of VHS, right? And in that stack of VHS is, you know, Taxi Driver, Clockwork Orange. I think Dead Presidents was in there.
Hell yeah!
This movie is in that stack. I used to hang out with the buddies from the band and fire it up and watch this movie. I don't know.
This is a 30-minute one too.
No, it's not a 30-minute. And there's some great performances in it. It's an Andrew Lloyd Webber original movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm going out on a limb here. Jesus Christ Superstar.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
Never seen it either.
Well,
I have heard of it.
Singing along to it in no time. So 1973. It's kind of I don't know. We'll see what you think.
Yeah, I don't know much about it other than it's a musical, and that's kept me away from it.
Yeah, what year was this made?
73.
But I'm down.
This was one of the movies that we used to watch all the time. I'm telling you, it's got a lot. It's got a lot of music in it.
Assuming not punk rock.
It's you'll just have to see. It's
Smiths?
very 70s. Very 70s.
Is it the Smiths?
It's a good movie. I promise you. It's not a piece of crap. I'm not trying to punish anybody. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a decent reputation, I think. But
yeah, it does.
Yeah, just being a musical has just been.
Yeah, I'm not averse to musicals, so I'm cool with it.
So is this the first musical that you guys have done on the show?
Probably, yeah.
Has to be.
Probably so. Yep.
Yeah.
Randy looks
very quiet. He's gonna be very.
I think you're gonna like it the most, Randy.
I'm not even committing to watching this one, so
okay.
I'll watch the trailer and see what I think. I don't like watching this kind of shit, like religious stuff. Not really my cup of tea, but I'll watch the trailer and see what I'm thinking.
So, I mean, is it like the movie is told from the perspective of Judas? Like,
that's what I was reading.
Story is, it's pretty cool. And it, certainly not trying to focus on the religious aspects as much as the songs, the performances, and like I said, it was in the stack of movies that the buddies watched with. We all would just smoke out and watch some Jesus Christ Superstar. I don't know, so you'll see. Hopefully.
That may be the right way to experience it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna ask Chris if she's seen this, dude. I won't even be a little surprised if she says yes. I am curious about the trailer, though. It's rated G.
Do you still have the VHS? Maybe we should watch the VHS.
I do. It's actually right up there.
I have a brand new TV we can watch it on.
Yes.
20 years ago.
We should watch it on Chris's
I'm telling you, you'll be singing along to it in no time.
I gotta call my mom and ask her if she's watched it. She's probably gonna hang up on me.
Oh man! All right. Well, next week, Jesus Christ Superstar. There we go.
Coming with the thunder.